We follow up with our Thanksgiving sports tradition with a game in Dallas as the Washington Commanders fly to Dallas to play the Cowboys. And both teams are kind of going in different directions now. It's Commanders have kind of fallen off a little bit, I would say, over the past month or so. Well, the Cowboys really seem to start to pick it up in gear, starting to play decently well, had a dominant victory against the lowly Carolina Panthers, while the Commanders had, I would say, just an embarrassing loss against Tommy DeVito and the New York Giants. Was not expecting that, have him throw, I believe it was 3 touchdowns on him. So it's going to be interesting to kind of see what the Commanders do in the offseason. I actually think that there's some good some good pieces on the team. Sam Howell, I think, has had a really good year offensively, right? Like they are fifth in total passing yards so far. While rushing wise, they're average, so to say, with over 1,000 rushing yards so far on the season. Brian Robinson, I think, has been playing decently well, and Sam Howell is pretty mobile himself. So I kind of want to throw it over to you here first, and we'll talk about the game a little bit. But what do you think the Commanders need to do in the offseason to become more competitive? Because they should have really, with the amount of offensive talent that they have, should not be losing these kind of games. And we saw that they sold off some pieces as well defensively. Yeah. So it kind of, I think, maybe prepping for this offseason. What do you think that they need to do so that if they play Dallas again next year, they'll be more competitive?
I mean, I don't know. I think this offensive line could use a little bit of upgrading, getting another edge rusher in there. And then, to me, I think the big thing that they could do is get a more experienced coach in there. Ron Rivera is experienced, but as we saw yesterday, this team, I think they lack a little bit of discipline. I think they need to just play more as one unit. Another thing that I think is hurting them, Sam Howell, I want to say he's in the top of the league in interceptions with 12. I could be wrong on that, but I know he had a couple turnovers.
He is up there.
Yeah, he had 3 turnovers yesterday against the Giants. Yeah. So
he's up there as a team. The Commanders have 12. I don't know if anybody else has thrown an interception, so that would put him tied for 3rd.
Yeah. So that always hurts your team. It's just they have talent, but they do the things that non-playoff teams do to pull themselves out of contention. Even though they have the talent to be a playoff team. So that to me, I think, is kind of where the Washington Commanders are. The one thing that's hard is they're kind of like in the middle, like of everything, and it's really hard when you're in the middle to get the players that you need, like through the draft. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what they end up doing. As far as this game goes, I do think that they're a decent matchup. Dallas actually has not been able to run the ball super well this year. Tony Pollard has been one of the biggest fantasy and overall just like disappointments in the NFL because he was supposed to have a really big year. With that being said, I think CeeDee Lamb on the outside is going to have a really big day, as well as Brandon Cooks and crew, just because Dallas, I think, is going to spread them out and just dice them up. So
yeah. That's where I could see them not running the ball a lot here. One, because of that. As of right now, Dallas they are ranked 12th overall in rushing yards so far on the season, just shy of 1,200. I will say then Tony Pollard specifically here.
Has he hit 400?
He is just shy of 600.
600. Okay.
Yeah. And so it does have 33 catches for 209 yards, but he only has 3 touchdowns total on the season. So that is a little bit. Rico Dowdle, is that how I pronounce it? And so we'll figure it out. I'm sure you guys will let me know in the comments. But the thing for me, I think, is with the Cowboys and this victory here is and this is one of the things that, I think the Commanders still need to address as well. It's going to be their secondary. And then they're going to address the defense as a whole, especially after selling off Montez Sweat and Chase Young. But they are second right now in passing yards allowed with 28.44 on the season. And Dallas, I think Dak Prescott has started to find a rhythm a little bit. They definitely have a West Coast style offense. CeeDee Lamb, I think, is going to have a lot of targets. I'll just say a lot of targets this Thursday. I think that kind of goes then a little bit with like what the Commanders will need to address a little bit, because I asked that question, so I want to respond. I don't know if more experienced head coach might be the correct way to say it, but just a new coach. I think Ron Rivera is on his way out. I believe you feel like he's on his way out, especially too when you look at a performance like that yesterday against the Giants. You're like,
players ejected and punches thrown. Like it's just a mess.
The Giants were one of the worst teams in the league, and they dominated you guys. So I know you like it. You're talking about that the Giants winning helps out the Patriots draft stock, but I think that, and then offensive line, because Sam Howell does need to have time for protection. But at the same time, though, too, Sam Howell is also just making younger mistakes. But you're seeing that like progress. So you just need to give him time and give him some more protection up front, and that's just going to help out the team in general. So
and I think they have too many wins to really be in range to move up to like for one of the top quarterbacks, especially like if the top two teams are Chicago and New England right now. That's Caleb Williams, Drake May easily. So
Atlanta's in front of them too. So Atlanta's going to be searching for a quarterback as well. But the game, it'll be fun to watch. I have a feeling it's probably pretty obvious who we're going to pick here. But before we officially make it our predictions, if you have not already, hit that like button, subscribe up to this point. Please do. We're trying to get to 2,100 subscribers by Thanksgiving Day, so just a couple of days away. So like, subscribe, and ring that bell to get notified. And Ryan, who do you have winning, and why is it Dallas?
I'm a Dallas Cowboys. I think that they're going to just dice up this secondary. CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Cooks, Michael Gallup, all those guys are just going to be too good for anyone on this Washington Commanders secondary to cover. Last week was a pretty, like, I don't want to say like breathtaking defeat, but it was just like, I think, a big blow morally to the Commanders, because they traded Chase Young and Montez Sweat, and then they came out and then they manhandled the Patriots. And then they had a tough loss to Seattle last week. It was like, okay, like we're still 4-6, like we can still really kind of come back and make a push for the playoffs. And it was like they had an easy like tune-up game against the Giants, and it was disastrous. Like I said, you said this, but they got handled easily by the Giants. Sam Howell threw 3 interceptions, punches were thrown, players were ejected. Like, it checked all the boxes for a morally defeated team going into Week 12 here. So I'm going to go with the Cowboys. They're just the better team, and I think in the right headspace to be really competing for a true playoff spot. So
no, I'm also going to go with Cowboys as well. A lot of the same stuff that you said. I think one thing to monitor too, I saw Sam Howell was checked for a concussion, but he did return to the game. But still something to monitor, because sometimes that stuff lingers. But still, though, I just think that there's just more talent overall on the Cowboys team. And as you've always mentioned too, on these shortened weeks, like just having more talent normally prevails. And the Cowboys just have a lot more talent. They're a little bit more succinct. It just offensively, definitely defensively. So Cowboys going to win this one here in the second Thanksgiving game.
Yeah. So we're both taking Dallas, sadly. Let's go ahead and wrap up this video here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below on who you think is going to come out ahead. Let's go ahead and write Dallas in the comments. And other than that, we will see you guys next time.